Now, we don't have any issue with the fact that Sean isn't here, correct? In terms of approving the agenda?
I don't believe so.
No, because it's just the. Yeah. We just have three.
So it's.
Two.
So we're okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
People were on my
Okay, like 50% plus whatever, as long as it's more than 50%.
Because we don't get to vote 50% plus one.
So I said it's still free.
But
Yes, because two is more than 50% of,
Yeah.
of three here.
yeah, usually it's done, usually.
We're just working on math. It's math.
No, but 1.5 doesn't really count. The
volume-
round up.
The volume's not on, right?
It is on.
I have 1, 2, blah, 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 right? Yeah. Okay.
I think we're ready.
Do you have the land acknowledgement order?
I do.
Oh, perfect.
I mean, memorized. Apparently. Because I just said it to Alicia and. Are we good to go?
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. This is a meeting of the subcommittee for the Public Art Master Plan under the Cultural Vitality Committee for the City of Sault Ste. Marie. It is 12:01 p.m. I call this meeting to order. I acknowledge with respect that we are on Robinson Huron Treaty Territory in the land on which we are gathered is the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, also known as Bawatting. Bawatting is home to Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Any business arising from previous? Don't believe so.
We have not had a previous meeting.
Right.
This-
Oh, that, okay,
so
well,
this
there we
might-
go. All right, so we can move on then to adoption of our agenda. I need someone to move and to second the resolution be resolved, the agenda for today's meeting be as presented be approved. Moved by Nyla, seconded by Donna. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, fantastic. Now, business arising is in there twice.
Yes.
We will just carry on. So, very exciting to be working on this, development of a public art master plan for the city. And, between, Virginia, you and, Alicia, let's move on to our agenda, our research review, et cetera, in the items 5 as they're listed here.
So yeah, so I think everybody has a copy of the comparison. So we had started the comparison, and thanks to Sean for a lot of additional work on pulling out the different pieces. So where we had kind of started is what other communities has included in their public arts master plans. As
Is it the same? Okay.
I'm assuming.
I think it is.
Oh,
That's
just in
one
case.
because
Okay,
it's
I apologize for
That's
that.
okay, no,
Sorry.
no worries. And then what pieces we had already done. So the pieces that we had was the cultural policy, the public art policy. And those documents had crossover from what we would see in other communities' public art master plans. So in the document, we've identified the gaps in the pieces that we need to look at working on. And then also the pieces that we already have in place that would be incorporated into that larger public art master plan document. So just, did you want me to read through each of the pieces or just kind of?
I think that if we were to, I think we talked a little bit about this in our last, like, complete cultural vitality meeting, but do we want to, just for the purposes of our own recollection? And perhaps if anybody is listening to us, like, what are the things that we noticed? I think there were 2 main things we noticed we did not have in place already, correct? Which were,
So at the time, one of the pieces was having some solid mapping of where we have our existing public art. So we had a database that included the public art pieces, but we hadn't actually put that into maps to have that visual, so that we could see what we have in place now and where we would then like to look at future installations and what those installations would look like, which kind of takes us to 5.2, because we have, in that meantime, we have done a bunch of the mapping and created different documents to really highlight what's in place currently. So that's one piece. The next kind of following in order, so looking at developing that strategy. So we need to sit down and kind of, what is our approach going to be? How are we going to engage the community? So there's going to be a big engagement piece that we'll have to have included with this. So, and that would be kind of one of those front pieces of the document, so that we would be able to kind of outline, we have the value of public art. Here's the process that we went through in the development of this plan. So that's going to be one of our action items, is to develop the approach and our engagement process. With regards to vision and strategic pillars, we have a lot of that already covered in the cultural policy and public art plan. And then one of the other sections is kind of that curatorial guide. So looking at the different types of public art. So we need to talk a little bit about placemaking, and that would come out of the consultation, as well as discussions with the community, as well as any themes. So are we going to be looking at themes, or just different calls to artists for those pieces would be individual. Again, that'll come out of a consultation process. Feel free to jump in at any point. And then also looking at some guidelines. So those are a little bit more of the gaps that we have to fill. As far as looking what we heard. And then a map through that consultation, and then also along with us as a committee, maybe going out and identifying locations. That'll be kind of the next piece that we might be able to complete while the weather's still nice, is really doing that walk around to say, here are some key locations that we want to focus on moving forward. Whether they're a 3D installation, whether it's a mural, whether it's temporary installations, we'll have to take a look at that whole mix of the different types of art. And then what are the spaces? Is it owned by the city? Is it private property? What's the scale of the piece that we might be looking at putting in that space? And then
I think you covered it. Thank you.
So yeah, so I think the other stage now will be that next piece, the mapping, and then we'll start to have something that we can start to share with the community, start to get feedback. So anything?
Could we, so how would we, go about doing this in terms of creating a working document, or however you would do that? I don't know the best way of doing it, but we had this, going back to the last meeting, we did identify some things, we had this conversation. And so that we all of us remember, the discussions we had and so on. How do we best pull those forward into a continuous document that we can keep building on, so that even though we are doing something great, which is getting together, at least that was the original intention, every couple of weeks, that we're not, I know I would appreciate that I'm not trying to remember what was right? So we can, is there a format the city uses for that, or can we create our own? That's this sort of running list of the things we, as opposed to I know there's meeting minutes.
Yeah.
Right? But meeting minutes don't go from one meeting to another, right?
Yeah.
They are, and so how could we, even if we just took minutes and we highlighted like the key things that we decided or wanted to follow, I don't know, I'll stop talking about that. But can we get?
I know where you're going, right? It's trying to create, here's our key topic areas, and then here's the running history of what we're doing under each of those key topics. So it's like a rolling document as opposed to just meeting minutes. Yeah, we can create something on a shared.
We could do that in Google.
I think we
share
should.
that. And
Yeah.
then again, have contribution, but again, the conversation not being discussion, it would just be adding your items as they are
Yeah.
updated versus.
Right,
copying them.
yes, of course,
But otherwise,
of course.
Yeah, and then one of the other pieces I had talked to Alicia about is creating some type of, like, once we have a little bit more of the work plan and those key things, we can assign, develop almost like a Gantt chart, right? So
Yes,
that we can progress it
Yes.
out so that, you know, maybe Nyla's gonna take a look at a certain section and make recommendations on, you know, potential places that art would be a good fit. Maybe you're doing another section, so then we can break out tasks
Mhm.
and actually have a bit of a Gantt chart so that we can stay
Yeah.
on track with all of our pieces, in addition to that running history of the discussion.
Yeah, I know that one of the things we identified from all of the comparisons was, and this came up the last meeting, that we don't really have an overarching vision per se. And just from my perspective, and I hope nobody minds, that I think we might end up, well, I'm gonna end up going around like back and forth here because I just wanna, but like when is the best time for us to do that? I also think that your point about taking a walk, doing a walking tour while the weather is still good, I think that is very, very important. It's a very good idea and we should do it. To that, I was wondering if, well, we do have these individual maps, but I'll tell you something, different purpose, but same idea. Something that we used when we were doing the hub trail, back many, many years ago, we had big maps. And so is there a way, I'm sure there's a way, we could get one map that would have the whole city on it? And I mean, I can see them, there's overview maps
Yeah.
here, but I think because for me, it just helps us see the community as a whole. And I think that, oh, where is it here? I think that, what is going to be painfully obvious when we look at the whole map is that the art we do have is really in one small, if you will, space, right? It's very concentrated in downtown. And so that should be part of, in my opinion, part of a vision discussion, you know, like how do we see it being more inclusive in the community? Which reminds me, is the art that's on the wall at the NCC or is there not art? Is that considered public art? Is that in here?
That is
It is
correct.
in here, okay.
Don't
I
know.
don't-
It's not in
It's not, okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything else like that we consider public art that we should add to this? Because it does show that there is, you know, there is some art in places where maybe not, you know, being, it's just not in the consciousness. And I don't know, I noticed John Rhodes is in here.
Yeah, and we still have to, I think we still have some more work to do.
Okay,
The reason, and I agree, having a big map with,
Even just markers across it, so you can see, like, as you said,
Yeah.
you'll see downtown where there's a concentration of 25
and we can
pieces.
see that here in this partial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it can be on like a legend that actually similar to our parks, where it's like, you know, number one is Wilcox Park, in this case, number one might be Hole in the Sky, right?
Yeah.
So we would
Yeah.
refer to the name
Mhm.
of the piece of art on that list in the legend. We did these so that we could be able to show a little snippet of what the art piece was in relation to.
well, this is really helpful. This is great. This
But-
is really great.
You know, taking that and doing a big map, we'd be able to do a legend on the side with the name of what the art piece is, and then we'd
Yeah.
also have that document that refers back to
Yeah.
the piece. So we can absolutely work on getting a large map. And then from there, we can mark them up and say, you know, here's some key locations that we want to look at. And
I mean, I never thought about the locomotive in Bellevue Park being a piece of public art. I never really thought of it like that.
yeah,
So, you know, this is a great, reference point, and we'll keep, building on that.
yeah, and we can do NCC. There's also places where, you know, there's a mural at Tom Tipton, and we've added, you know, the mural on the backstop of North Street. So
Right,
with all those locations
Right.
where we started to infuse art, and
right.
traffic wraps can even come into
Traffic
play
wraps
on
haven't been
that as
included
well,
here.
right?
Even this year's from the Vivid Art Festival, we had 3 new installations since these maps were created. So
Yeah.
there's more to add here as well. So there's more concentration in some spaces than others, but at the same time, there's also by the end of the year, more plans elsewhere. So
And then
Yeah.
what are the thoughts on private art?
Well-
So, you know, are we gonna capture that in some way that there's pieces there, but they're not necessarily ours?
What's
Or-
an example of that?
Well, I would say the space
Yeah,
here, over here, say, on,
The leaf
the farm. Sorry, go ahead.
is that the leaf that I see in here? Is that at Opry or is that a different?
They
Yeah,
have
that's
a
an
lot of
open-
art inside. I only know this because of Open Doors, but when they like took us around to Doors Open, Doors Open.
Doors open, yeah.
They just had like a lot of art and they had murals on display, but obviously you'd have to be able to get in there, but it would be, I assume, privately owned. I don't know if it's Lent or if they own it, but they have art inside, from local artists.
Machine
from
shop.
the area.
Yeah, they moved this one next to you. I'll see. But initially looking at this, I think this is public art because it's, again, a piece of art that's for the public to enjoy, even if it's on a private piece of property. But at the same time, we don't maintain it. So there's got to be some delineation between what we're responsible for and what we're not.
Well, it's
Um,
what's in the policy, right?
Yeah. And like, obviously, we're not responsible for that, but I guess my point is that it should still appear there so we can see.
Yeah. We can separate ownership.
Yeah, I don't know where you would. Like, where would you stop? On art inside of private spaces, right? I mean, go to the Water Tower Inn, which I know very well. I mean, there's,
Mhm.
there's significant numbers of pieces there.
Mhm.
If it's a public building per se, like Free versus, or the machine shop is a private enterprise, I don't know what.
Yeah, and I think that might extend, like some of those pieces, that might extend beyond our capabilities to keep track of some of those, whereas, if, like the leaf, it's visible when you drive by, right? Everybody can see it when they're walking, driving, biking. So I think maybe sticking to some of those pieces in public spaces, I think would be the best. But we can expand it out to our buildings where we have other pieces
Well,
installed.
So for example, what about the art that's at the old stone house or in the Ermiton or Clerk building, right? Like there are
Mhm.
some historic.
Yeah.
Quite old pieces from my recollection. I haven't been in there for a while, but in the old stone house, there were. When we did some work, something fall festival related and Old Stone House, I forget what it was, but there were some very beautiful pieces of art in there, and they are owned by the city, right, technically? I don't know if there's other,
The library's got a few pieces of art, and it's not the same as large scale public art, but they also have some pieces. So again, that's another conversation there as well.
I don't know if there's a proper term for that, like it's not sculpture or mural or whatever, it's really hanging art, if you will. Is there a better word for it? Is there a technical word for it, Alicia? That visual, no, it's all visual,
No, I'm not aware of it right now.
framed, or I don't know. I don't know if there's a technical word for it that we should be using.
Yeah, and just another example might be that there's the sculpture outside of ADSB, which is.
Oh, that's right, yeah,
So that,
Yeah.
there are pieces
That's
like
right.
that, and
That's
some
right.
private murals, which I don't know if we've captured, that
No.
people have went out on their own and had murals done, so. We can, and some of those we might, well, if we do that walking tour, we'll be able to identify some of the pieces that maybe we missed that aren't necessarily in our inventory, but could be recognized as.
But relevant nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What would be the part, I guess that's what you're deciding, but just bringing up the policy of like, we talk about public and private, but also not truly private, but like private art where it's like on an individual level. I was thinking like on, I know my river stuff, I can't remember if it's like Riverview or Riverside. Because your yard may have like a huge, like sculpture in their yard that anyone could see, or if someone were to, invest in a large sculpture, it's that obviously like we could talk about private and more so talking about, like businesses like the machine shop, but just is there a space or what would that look like if you did have someone in the community who had just like genuinely prominent large piece of art, or is that a different kind of private because it's
I think there's some nuance in the definition of public art, where again, like if it's commissioned or if it's by an entity or an individual, or so I would have to look into that. It's probably in our public art policy that we've probably referred to.
It is.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I'd say that's probably already made clear there. So I'll double check and get back in. No, the policy is still like, well, by heart.
so if there we could go, but if I read it, it's gone. Like, I'm like, fine.
Okay.
So I think about
I'll
now,
get
because you were talking about that statue, and I was thinking, I've seen a horse statue, but it's just, it's just at someone's house, so then I'm like, yeah.
What area of town is that in?
Riverside or River.
Oh, sorry.
Whatever, is that right?
Oh, the
Is that
The
what-
one that
yeah.
connects Shannon, like the very bottom of Shannon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
I assume it's done by an artist, it's not, something you'd go and get at Home Sense.
I was just thinking about those
Big-
giant homes on us.
No, like big
Yeah.
metal horse sculpture at the house. I just don't wanna say whose house this was.
Oh, no, I was gonna say,
We're
I think-
on the air here.
Yes.
but-
No, I don't want to bring private individuals.
Yeah,
in there,
and
but
it's always, it used to be owned by someone else, and like, the horse statue, and I was owned by someone else, the horse statue, and it's what brought it to mind, but I mean, if it's in the policy, I'll just review it closer and see. I can't think of anything else personally that reminds me of that, I can only think of this one person's.
Yeah. awesome.
This giant.
I
statue.
can't, I'm actually gonna go look for it and thank you. Looking back here, so there's some more development to do here with the mapping. And then the broader conversation about a large map like we've requested. And then itemized listing on that larger map as well as we go. In terms of an action plan at this time.
Yeah, so I think we'll start to map out some of those key tasks, and we could probably create that document so that everybody can kind of contribute to it to build off of it. So I know, so far right out of this meeting, we need to work on the large map.
Yeah.
Finish up some of the other smaller maps. We need to set a date for a walking tour before the snow comes so that we can look at identifying spaces and potentially any other art pieces we may have missed. We'll add in the new art pieces that were just done this fall. And then from there, we'll have to start to really build out. I think we do need to sit down and have a bit of a visioning session to really talk about, what is our vision for this document? And then how do we want to roll out and collect community feedback? So that's going to be the next big piece.
Can we make a vision before community feedback?
I think we can probably set the approach, but I think you're right. We need to really look at what we get back
Do them in
to.
concert?
Yeah.
Somehow?
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, I think the approach to it we're gonna have to have some type of guidance and framework to build off of, I think, when we start to get out to that community engagement piece.
What do you think the timeline is for that, just based on your experience?
Well,
Is
if
this like
you were,
February? Or by the time we get there with mapping or pulling community feedback, is there some different opportunities? Again, we want to talk to the entire community, but we also want to make sure that we're conversing with the arts community. Is there?
well, remember Sean, somewhere in here,
Mhm.
Sean did and it's a start for sure, if not more than that. Sean did a sample engagement survey outline that had questions in it and so on, and maybe it's that consultation can be a bit of a two-step thing, that we could get some initial, more simpler consultation by simple survey. And then once we get more organized and more meat as we go along here, then maybe we do something that people can come in person or I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was wondering if maybe we should be looking at, we know that there are often large shows at the community theater center.
Mhm.
Maybe during an arts event in particular to go and have a pop-up and then work with those community groups to stand there for a few hours during the intermissions. Ask people, put maybe something in a program, even with a scanned QR code.
Yeah.
Asking them for that feedback, and then making sure that we're doing that. Because I think if if a group is having potentially up to 3 shows, it's almost 1,000 seats in that theater. It's a huge amount.
Yeah, it's 908.
Yes. You know it.
I believe. Yeah, exact number.
So, I mean, so that would be a good spot for targeting, that community. I think we should be talking about maybe looking into some.
Well, to your point, sorry to interrupt you, but there are 2 shows coming up.
Yep.
2 shows coming up in the next month or so, right?
I think I have tickets for both of those.
Okay.
Um,
They are kids shows, so
Mhm.
perhaps that's why. And we have a show, the Fall Festival has a show that looks like it will be a sellout. It's getting very close, and that's in December. So I think that's a great idea, Alicia, whether it's the pop-up thing or handing something to people or whatever. just trying to generate some feedback on the simpler side than before, then when we get some of that, then we maybe can
Yeah.
do something more formal.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Great, survey development in the short term, so I think that's what I'll look at along this list that we're compiling. And obviously we'll be,
Sean had something in here that was
Yes.
like, I don't remember what it said, I just remember it was part of the massive amount of work that he did to help us all.
yeah, so even linking this to a QR code and, maybe incentivizing the feedback as well in some ways, is that something that we can look at doing?
That's up to you, that's a,
Yeah, I think we can do that.
able to.
the city has to manage that sort of thing.
We could, yeah, we'll talk more.
Yeah. I think it'll help. So sometimes it helps to get that feedback. And then we did meet with Sean to talk about a student. So
Oh,
we might
great.
have some
Is that
assistance there.
coming for sure?
Yeah.
That happening for sure? Great.
Yeah, it looks like we will be getting, they do 150 hours, is it?
Yes,
Over the course of
10 weeks.
second week in January, start wrapping up
So
in
the
April.
Spring semester, winter semester.
Yeah, so they'd be able to help with some of these pop-ups, doing some engagement pieces, compiling the data, looking at all that survey stuff, so. Other places too that make for easy pop-ups are senior center, having the surveys there.
Yes.
Is back to Sean's opportunity, is that an unpaid co-op?
Yeah, it's part of their curriculum.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's, okay,
So it's a curriculum based, so they have to do the hours. It's actually, I think it's rolled in as a course, so it's a course credit. for them.
got it.
We do some stuff at the NCC as well.
Yeah, NCC, yeah. So there's a few other places we might be able to do something with conservatory, maybe the museum, Old Stone House. I think there's a Bush Plain, there's a number of places that we can.
Thinking
Get
recreation
engaged.
centers where parents stand for length of time. So,
Yeah, you get a lot of, so yeah, so I think there's a lot of opportunity. And then the thought too, we talked to Sean about being able to do something right in the school. So getting that feedback from the Algoma University students.
Well, and do I not understand, I was talking to one of the instructors in the fine arts program at Algoma, and they have a new location
They do.
they just moved into.
Yeah.
Behind, on Wellington there, behind Harvey's, what's behind, in that, what was the old IBA drugstore?
Yeah.
So I'd love to go, I told them I would come and take a look, I'd love to, but you know, there's visits to places like that too, right? That could,
Ravenhill.
and engaging that group.
maybe if they're at Sioux College, can check and see what they have coming up in the new semester. There's maybe
Mhm.
something relevant for us to hop into and.
I
Yeah.
think it's coming up, it's probably coming up too imminently, but the art gallery is hosting that 6x6 sale for the Arts Council. It's starting November 4th, but I think it's running for weeks. Like, I think it might be going until like the November 20s.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
But it's only through the Arts Council, Arts
There's a-
Society, because it wouldn't be,
Society, I think.
I don't know.
yeah, Arts Society.
Where if there's resources for it, but there's I think there's that Festival of Trees as well, but if we're talking about like large traffic.
Yes.
event, right?
Yeah,
I
that's a
assume
busy one.
I assume it's still happening, but I don't know, I haven't
It
seen it.
is absolutely still happening.
Okay.
I know someone who's decorating for it.
Correct, there you go.
That's great.
Okay, well, I think,
That's a great amount to start with.
yeah,
I'm very excited. It's very clear.
Okay, so do we have? We talked,
Timeline on
that's
here.
what I wanted.
Yes, yeah, so I was gonna say that, in the short term, I can see building this out, this survey, and circulating it for comments. And finalizing that and getting it up and ready to go. I can have that probably done. It's a busy time with some of our other priorities that we have going on in November, but we could probably have that done by hopefully the first week in December, so maybe hitting some of those.
the survey.
Yeah, like the preliminary survey,
Yeah, are we looking at Survey Monkey?
yes.
We can probably get some help with building that out, because some of the staff have assisted with like the Doors Open survey that we did, so
Awesome,
we
okay.
might be able to get somebody to build it out, and then we just have to test it.
Can we work backwards? Can we go to? I don't wanna work backwards, I wanna go, when do we want to,
What's right to me? Yeah,
when do we want to have a plan? Is it in June next year? Is it in March next year? Is it in, can we go to that point and then work, and then as we create this timeline, then we fill in
Yeah.
and work backwards from there?
I think realistically, June, because I would imagine a lot of our consultation will happen between you know, if we can get some of this pre-survey out now,
Mhm.
then roll into doing some pop-ups and maybe some presentations or whatever, that'd be January, February.
I would love to have it
Into,
done.
and then we'll have to start compiling everything, and then from there to the point, you know, I think coming up with that vision, the locations, themes, is
Is-
gonna take some work on the committee.
And
part.
once we get a plan, and then does it has to go to council, right? Or what happens? Yeah,
We would bring it to the committee.
right,
Committee would
yes,
then make a recommendation, which we would take a report and probably a little presentation to
Right.
council to share the
okay.
plan.
So is the council meeting schedule set for next year yet? Probably not, or is
It
it?
is, yeah, we
Okay.
just got it, yeah.
Okay, so could we at least tentatively identify what meeting we want to bring a report to? Right, if that's the first meeting in June or whatever, like whatever that means, I don't know. Don't panic when I
No,
say.
no.
I mean, so she's like,
No, we're thinking about the rotation, the 2 weeks in, so if we're aiming for the end of June, it's mid-June, if we aim for the middle of June, it's the beginning of June.
Right,
But I think
right.
that we probably, I would like to have it approved by the CBC mid-June.
so maybe
So it's July.
you guys go back, look at the schedule,
Yeah,
see what you think is reasonable without us taking, an onerous amount of time so that we can do our best to move this ahead. It's basically November, so if we were to get to that by June, that's 8 months, right?
Yep.
Which is not bad. It's not bad.
That's
Not
right.
bad. What? Yeah. So,
So what we can do with that Gantt chart, which would be nice,
Mhm.
is we could set that date.
Yep.
Put the milestones, and
Yeah.
it'll give us a really good idea of how much time we have for each of the major components.
Yep.
And then that'll give us to say, is this realistic? Or,
Mhm.
do we need to lengthen it out, or is it,
Or can
maybe
we
it can be
shorten it?
shortened,
Yeah.
right? So it'll help us a little bit if
Mhm.
we can visually see that, and then if we miss a milestone, what that's gonna look like, so. I can pick away at working on that for the next meeting.
Are you gonna put it on the wall?
I will, maybe.
I just see it
Have a
happening.
binder.
I just see it happening already. I know exactly which wall. So.
when things that are visual, it's just different.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, so we can pick away at getting that all done, and then I think really trying to get out to do that walk around so that we can start to look at things before it gets too cold.
Well, that's almost what we should do next, right?
Yes.
So if we're meeting again in 2 weeks, and it doesn't mean we have to meet every 2 weeks until June, right? We can, but for now, we committed to doing that. So we're talking about the middle of November, right? What day is that?
November 13th, if we keep it the same day.
Right.
This is a good day.
Right. So,
Couple of pieces in mind. We have ACAP coming up.
the 12th,
On the
right?
19th,
Oh, it's not till the 19th.
the 19th. And so with that in mind,
Is there an offer?
it's probably hard. I suggest we walk and then we have a meeting the week after the 19th. Or is
I
that
think-
right?
I think after we walk,
We can decide
we'll
that.
have to send some information to Kristen to help us with some mapping.
Sure.
So I think we can do that walk.
Mhm.
We can have our takeaway, and then
Like
have
do
a,
the walk on the 13th?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. And then that gives us something ahead of time for the 19th?
If we wouldn't, 19th would be ACAP,
Yes.
so we would probably need a little bit of time internally to map, take that
Oh, okay,
feedback, send it up to to Kristen, who does all the mapping
Yeah.
for us.
I think
Yeah.
the week of the 24th, we can plan tentatively to meet again.
Just don't forget, and I would really appreciate that we also have, I just don't want to take my foot off the gas though, but we also have, grant applications, right? Coming up after tomorrow.
Yes.
So maybe I would appreciate, even if it's it's easier to cancel a meeting than it is to try and hold one at the last
Yeah.
minute, right? Because everybody's just got so much on the go.
Let's just put it in.
So if we can put meetings in, if we can put, we didn't schedule grant meetings yet,
That's the
right? Grant
19th.
review we're doing that on the 19th?
That's
Oh,
the
okay,
19th,
okay.
Yeah, so we do that on the 19th. We can plan to walk before that. We can,
We're doing the 12, okay.
we can do, essentially assume the week of the 24th. Hopefully safely.
So can you get those invites in everybody in our subcommittee calendars,
Mhm.
and then just,
Yeah.
so that, and like I said, it's easier to cancel one than it is to.
For sure. And now that we've had the first one, it'll be easy administratively to That's fine.
I think we just did 5.5.
Yeah.
We just did 6. So is there anything else we wanted to talk about today?
I don't think so. I think, like, not for me. I
No.
think we've got our takeaways that we need to get some legwork done on before the next meeting. And I think Kristen's got some time to help us fine tune some of these now and continue to build them out, but there will be, it's gonna take some time to get all of them built out. If we can get a big map that we can kind of play with, even if it's just a,
Personally, for me, I don't even care if the big map has the specifics of what's in the location. I like the big map for just physically, like
Yeah.
seeing the
Yeah,
whole
yes.
big picture. It doesn't matter to me really, because I can have this other document to say, oh, what's down there or whatever, right? But whatever is easiest for the folks to
Yeah.
do.
no, we will get that and then probably see if we can have also for the walking tour, some smaller maps so that it's easier for us to write on and mark up and.
How, I guess we better make it we don't have to do that right this minute, but I mean, we need to make an itinerary for that walking tour, right? So, because we won't have 4 hours,
No,
right? So, like, are we gonna meet at noon that day? How much time do we have? Where are we gonna go? I don't.
Yeah.
I would ideally, and I also want to still meet every 2 weeks because I have the 13th, 14th, and 15th of that week. I have Bell Skate pre-registration, which is just like a meeting every 30 minutes until 50 hockey teams get me all there. If I have something full 3 now, if I could block off like 1, or I could probably do like an hour, or if there's any chance that we could do the 12. But I will do my best to be there, or I will follow in your footsteps. You tell me where you went and I'll go.
Something to be
In
mindful
the
of.
evening.
We don't want you doing that.
Yeah.
It will be dark.
It's usually, I usually have a really flexible schedule. It's just it's literally the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 19th. It's just half of our meetings for all 5 days.
We will figure this out.
Just like a brick wall of meetings.
No, we'll figure this out and then we'll get it on the calendar immediately. Both of the things that we talked about. I think that might be everything.
Are you good?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
my only thing to start talking about.
Okay.
13th.
Okay, so, oh, yeah, it is past 12:30, but we just need to let Sean know that we, missed him terribly, and, we made a plan.
That's good.
Okay, so I need someone to move into second, the adjournment of today's meeting, moved by Nyla, seconded by Donna, all in favor. Any further discussion? That is carried. Thank you very much.
I think they